Okay. What are the rights of individuals under GDPR? Let's talk about the rights real quick. Your right to access, it means you, my friends, you can request access to your personal data and obtain information on how it's being processed. You can ask anyone, hey guys, I need to know how my data is being used. Right to rectification. You could request that incorrect or incomplete data be corrected. It's your right. You can also request a right to erasure. You can say, all right, you know what? I'm not feeling you guys anymore. Delete my file. You have a right to do that too under GDPR. Also, we have a right to restriction of processing. I can actually request restriction of processing of my data under certain circumstances. I can actually request it too. So the point is that yes, you have access to my data, you collect it, you process it, you do everything, but also have a right to ask you to scratch it. Maybe when I gave you my consent, I drank margarita, and I was just, it's Friday evening. Thank you all for joining. I know you could have been enjoying your margarita. You chose to join us, so thank you. So, maybe I was just a little bit, under the weather after taking a lot of margarita, and I said, okay, process my data. And I woke up the next day, Saturday, took coffee, and realized, shoo, wait a minute, I gave you access yesterday night. I'm changing my mind. I can call you and say, okay, guys, delete my data right now. I have a right to do that, right? European Union, some of my folks on the call, they are in the EU space, in Germany, in UK, in Spain, Belgium, and all that. The truth is that you guys don't play games. North America might still be a little bit, but GDPR, those guys don't play games. It's not for them. It's so, it's emotional. They will come after you. There's no corporation don't have the same power as they do in North America. Yeah, US mostly. Um, Compared to European Union. European Union, if you cross that line, the fines will be heavy. They don't play games. Lobbyists will not help you. They would make sure they take their pound of flesh most times. So it's serious thing for them there, right? All right, legal basis for data processing. Let's keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it for a second. For those of us in North America, for example, it's fair to say before you see your doctor, mostly, or even for your financial stuff, they will ask you to sign a consent form. It has to be clear, specific, informed, and revocable for data processing. I can choose not that you should not process my data in the future. Another thing is contractual necessity. You know, um, Sometimes also is necessary for contract performance. So, sometimes people actually legally have documents signed also. Legal application meaning it's required to comply with the law. It's an obligation, such as for your employment law, tax laws. We have to consent before. That's why your tax attorney, before they process their taxes for you, you have to sign certain consent form. Then vital interest. Processing it's necessary to protect the interest of the individual or another person. So the legal element is also there. You know, So what about the requirement for organization? I know you're thinking, okay, wait a minute. Well, I'm an individual. I don't care. What about organization? So one thing I want us to type is um, for organization is privacy by design or data protection by design. Can we all type protection by design real quick if you don't mind? Protection by design. Now, one thing you'll notice is that most of the time, at the end of the day, in the past, mistake people have made is that privacy is a concern. We treat it when it comes. The organization is fined, it becomes a reputational risk. It impacts everybody. It's embarrassing. So we said, you know what, we're not going to play this game again. In your design phase, every one of our design phase, we have to think around privacy also. We have to think about security also at the design phase. The time you're thinking is where you have to start implementing privacy concern. We're not going to wait till there's danger. No, we're going to start it by default. So every organization now, by default, privacy concern is going to come up. If I'm based in the US, I'm a multinational and I have presence in Europe, even if it's one European member country, GDPR by default. So it's not like I have to think about it. It has to be part of it already. There's no shortcut to it. So we got to make it part of the process immediately. Another thing we'll have to think about is data protection impact assessment. Can we all type this if you don't mind, everybody? Can we all say DPIA real quick? Data protection impact assessment. And this is required when you're processing activities that might likely result in high risk to individual rights and freedom within your organization. So you have to do a data protection impact assessment. Then, because you're an organization, you also have to appoint a data protection officer. Now, the reason is that you're just providing someone that is giving the oversight on your privacy within your organization. That's what you're doing, right? Remember again, welcome on board for some of us just joining. The focus is GDPR, is focused on the European Union member states, right? So, but it's not just having a presence in European Union member state, but if you have a company anywhere in the world and some of your customers are in those EU member states, it's still applicable to you. There's no shortcut around it. And that's why sometimes, believe it or not, some organizations, they weigh their risk. I want to expand my business to Europe. I understand there are regulation I have to also consider. Do I have the capacity to comply with those regulations? Yes, no. If the answer is yes, okay, I execute. If it's no, I'll probably pause until I have the capacity. Because the ramification of not complying with those laws, we're talking of millions of dollars that can just make all your profit disappear. So people don't mess with it. It's serious business, okay? Another big one I like here, okay, everybody, if you miss anything, don't miss this one. Breach notification. Can we all type breach notification, everybody? And don't overthink it. All I'm saying is that if there's a compromise of our data, how do we notify people? The notification part of it. So let me tell you why it's important. Everybody must type this, please. Everybody you must type this. Don't forget everything. Don't forget this one. For European Union GDPR breach, you need to report to the relevant authority within 72 hours. So let me ask you, how long should I report to the authorities if there's a breach within European Union member state data? Let's see. Now, I believe it's a lot of difference for some regulation. For us in the US, it would say maybe 30 days. So imagine 72 hours means in 3 days you have to report, do your investigation and report in 3 days. So let's take it again. How long does it take for you to report for European Union if there's a breach? 72 hours. So you can see now that these guys don't play game. Now, if you don't report in 72 hours, there's an investigation, your fine is just going to be on steroid. They will start putting more fine because now you violated one of their main threshold that you should report in 72 hours. You've not reported, so it's just complicating your case. It's going to get worse, really, at that point. All right, let's quickly recap again. We said protection, data privacy protection should be by design and default. We need to do a DPIA. We need to appoint a data protection officer, and our breach notification should be within 72 hours. This alone, I think, is like a foundation of most of the things around GDPR, this piece alone, because it gets into some of those key elements that is required for organization as a whole. All right. What about the penalties? All right, pause. You can see we have 20 million reason to be scared. 20 million is a lot of money. I don't know about you all, you know, and that's quite a lot for an organization too. And sometimes, or 4% of your global turnover, the gross. So let's put it in perspective. If you're a company like Walmart, that in a year you have global sale of $300 billion. 4% of $300 billion is some change, and it's quite a lot. 10% of 300 billion is probably that is about 30 billion. 5% is about 15 billion. 4% is maybe like another 12 billion or something like that. So think about that for a second. $12 billion potential fine. So they're not playing games. It can be bad. So people don't just mess with it, right? So you can see why people, your leadership will take it serious because the fines are heavy. They don't play games. Let me ask you, if I ask you, um, what are the fine implications? Tell me just right, 20 million max fine or 4% of global turnover. Can we type that real quick if you don't mind? Somebody says, is this in dollars? Ha 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 ha. I think this is the dollar equivalent. Let me double check. And somebody can check that for us real quick. Is it dollar or euro? I would think it is dollar equivalent. I'll double check that. Okay. Somebody can check that for us and just tell us. Yeah, but that's pretty. Is it euro? Okay. Yeah, I think it's euro. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's euro. Thank you for clarifying that. I think it's euro. Yeah, you're right. I think it's euro. But euro or dollar, that's a lot of money. That is quite a lot of money. Oh man, that's so it's serious stuff. People don't mess with it because of the financial implication. It's just so much money to if you're a CEO or CFO or any of the C-level executive, and you're telling your shareholders that you pay 20 million in fine, they will just tell you to resign. I mean, what are you doing here? You're paying 20 million in fine. How much are we making that you're paying 20 million in fine? Oh, but they'll fire the person real quick. So it's serious stuff. Anyway, yeah, but that's a good one there. All right. What are the benefits for most organizations? We can agree it helps you to enhance trust, improve security. It gives we the people, greater control on how your data is being used. And I'll tell you, for most of us in North America, we can agree that i- it is at times a little bit saddening to see there's zero oversight on how data is being used, and there is little penalty for when there's violation. So it's a little bit not. It's nice to see when you see people take it serious, right? And there are actual consequences when you mess it up, which is good. Then the other thing is it gives that consistent, clear framework, regulatory framework. So every EU member state knows that okay, this is serious business. Any business going to deal with European Union members, they take it serious because they know it has a lot of real life ramification. You can't mess with it because there are consequences big time. So that's a good one actually. What are the steps to achieve compliance in general? We do like a quick audit. We have a data protection policy, which is the bedrock of everything. You need to continuously train your employees, which is a big one out there. Then, like we said earlier on, appoint a data protection officer. So it's part of what organization must do. You should have a data protection officer also. All right. Okay, so that's really it. We're about to jump into the meat of it, folks.